This is why you should never answer the door late at night. A woman woke up to a knock at her door. When she opened the door, no one was there, so she went back to bed. A few hours later, she woke up again to a loud noise. She looked to her window and saw the word smile written in the frost. She reached over to call 911, but saw that a post-it note was stuck on her phone and it said, "I told you to smile." She ran out of the house, called the police, but nothing was found. The next night, she decided to put a camera in her room. But she could have never predicted what those cameras would show her. At 3 a.m., something crawled out from underneath her bed. It was a tall, pale man with no clothes and bulging veins all over his head. He walked over to the camera until his face took up the entire shot. Then his mouth widened into an unnaturally large smile. He just stared at the camera like that for hours, not blinking. The woman skipped the video until she saw herself getting out of bed and picking up the camera. And that was the last thing the cameras recorded, which meant the man never left her house. If you play an instrument, don't do what he did. Once there was a man known as the best guitar player in the world. He would play on the streets of his city and he made quite a good living from it because everyone knew who he was, until one day something terrifying happened. A rich man came up to him and said he wanted to hire the guitar player to perform at his private party. The guitar player agreed instantly. He arrived at the rich man's mansion, full of people waiting to see him play, and afterwards at night he walked home alone. That's when something he could never explain happened. He heard a sound coming from the bushes behind him, and suddenly a stranger appeared. This stranger asked, "That's a very beautiful guitar, can I play it?" The guitar player agreed and handed it to him. And this stranger played even better than he did. He was shocked and said, "That's amazing." The stranger replied, "Of course, I was a guitar player when I was alive." The guitar player ran and ran, not even looking back to get his guitar back. He thought this would be the end of it, but he was wrong. The next day, he opened up his door to find his guitar lying there, and a ghostly voice coming in from the hallway saying, "Here, I brought your guitar back." What are you willing to do to stay young forever? Once there was a beautiful Malaysian woman, but she was never quite satisfied with her appearance. So she decided to go to a shaman who told her that through black magic and rituals, she could be young and beautiful forever. He gave her a potion to drink and told her that she couldn't look in the mirror for 30 days. However, this woman was curious. Every time she touched her face, she could feel her wrinkles disappearing. Everyone she met told her that she looked great. So on the 29th day, her curiosity was too much. So she took a glimpse of herself in the mirror. The mirror instantly cracked and so did her face. She turned into a horrible monster, all because of her curiosity. So she went back to the shaman, hoping that he could help her reverse this terrible mistake. But he said that she can only reverse her looks if she drank the blood of the young. And if she didn't do that, then she would have to live as a monster for the rest of her life. Legend says that she's still out there somewhere, roaming around looking for her next target, all so that she can be young and beautiful again.
Has anybody ever been in a toxic relationship and never realized it until after the fact? Because same. Part 2.
So I look through his phone and I find that he has a streak with a girl for 3 days. So I investigate, find her Instagram, and I DM her. And my 15-year-old self was like, "Hey girl, woman to woman, how do you know Eugene? I see that you guys have a streak. I'm his girlfriend. So I just want to know if there's anything going on." And originally she denied it and said that she was talking to his friend. But I kept grilling her. I was like, his friend has a phone, so why are you Snapchatting Eugene? So then finally I asked her if we could FaceTime. She said yes. So we FaceTime and she starts spilling the beans. She said that they've been Snapchatting for 2 months, that she slid up on his friend's story asking who he is and what's his Snap. So we gave it to her. He would slide up on her story with hard eyes and talk about meeting up. And she said that she knew he had a girlfriend, but he said it wasn't that serious. And that I was cheating on him, which I wasn't. She said he would block her every single time I would come over. I asked her what high school she went to. She was in 7th grade.
My best friend's boyfriend starts DMing me on Instagram. He confesses that he had a crush on me when we were in college together, and I told him that I did too. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. From that day on, he would DM me every single day and we would just flirt back and forth. I started feeling really guilty and I told him one day I can't do this anymore. That's when he told me he also felt guilty and that the best thing was for us to stop talking, so we did. I was so sad. A few weeks passed by and my best friend asked me if she could have the apartment all to herself because she's planning a romantic dinner for him. I said yes, but I felt so jealous. I left the apartment because I realized that I was so in love with him. I went to the supermarket and ate a whole pack of Oreo cookies and went to the movies. I get a text message from my best friend asking me to come home immediately. My stomach sank and I thought she had found out. When I get there, she's crying and she says that he broke up with her. I asked if he said why and she said because he was in love with another woman. My stomach sank again. I was there with her the entire night while she cried, knowing her boyfriend left her because of me.
Do you know the dark origins behind the fairy tales we all grew up hearing? In this series, I'm going to draw each fairy tale and tell you the original scary stories they were based on. Today, we're going to talk about Rapunzel. So in the original, Rapunzel's dad stole herbs from the witch's garden for his wife, and when he got caught, he agreed to give Rapunzel to the witch. Rapunzel is then trapped in the witch's tower, until one day, a prince hears her singing in the tower, so she lets her hair down. This is the part we all grew up hearing about, but things take a much darker turn from here. The prince visits Rapunzel in secret, and the witch only finds out when Rapunzel gets pregnant and can't hide it anymore. In a fit of rage, the witch cuts Rapunzel's hair and uses it to lure the prince back into the tower. There, she throws him off and into a bush of thorns, which blinds him. After that, the prince ends up wandering around the country for years, but then Rapunzel, who's now a mother to twins, eventually finds him. When they reunite, Rapunzel's tears heal the prince's eyes, so I guess it kind of is a happy ending, though it did take a lot of intense turns to get there. Let me know which fairy tale you want me to cover next, and follow if you want to see more. Do you know the dark origins behind the fairy tales we all grew up hearing? In this series, I'm going to draw each fairy tale and tell you the original scary stories they were based on. First, we have the Grimm's version of Snow White. Now, we all know how the story begins. The evil queen was jealous of Snow White's beauty, so she banished her into the woods. But the evil queen actually wanted to eat Snow White's liver and lungs with salt and pepper. The huntsman spared her and gave a boar's liver and lungs to the queen, which she eats. But the darkest part, which you might not know about, is how Snow White actually got revenge. Snow White and the prince got married, and they invited the evil queen, or should I say, tricked the evil queen into attending because they knew that she'd feel jealous enough to do it. And the evil queen actually fell for it. She arrived at Snow White and the prince's wedding, only to find out that they put a pair of iron shoes into burning coals until it heated up and glowed bright red. Then they placed it in front of the evil queen and made her wear those shoes until she danced to her death. Which definitely is not the same ending that I remember growing up hearing about. So let me know which fairy tale you want me to cover next, and follow if you want to see the rest of the series. If you want to tan this summer, don't do what she did. Once there was a young woman who hated how pale she was, so she came up with an idea to get the perfect tan. But she could have never known the horrifying consequences her idea would lead to. She tried to go to all the tanning salons near her, but they would only allow her to tan for 30 minutes at a time. So she booked one session and afterwards thought that she still looked really pale. That's when she came up with the idea. She would book 30-minute appointments in every tanning salon in her city, back to back. She spent the next 4 days going from one tanning salon to another, and she finally began to see a difference. But this wasn't enough for her. So she went to a store and bought a special brand of tanning lotion. This lotion was made to increase your skin's sensitivity to light. She thought this would help her get the perfect tan, so she put it all over herself and let it soak. Then she made another set of tanning appointments. Later that day, the staff at the local tanning salon noticed the smell of something burning. They went to investigate and was horrified to find one of the tanning beds had caught fire. That's where the woman was found. She had literally cooked herself alive inside the tanning bed. If someone asked to put makeup on you, don't do what she did. One night, a girl in Japan was walking home at night when she came across an elderly woman. It seemed like the woman was walking around aimlessly. She was wearing an oversized hat and had a cane. While she had wrinkles on her face, she also wore quite a bit of makeup. The young girl didn't think much of it until the old woman came up to her and asked if she wanted to try some of her makeup powder. She said that she loved using it and it would make the young girl so much more beautiful. She didn't want to be rude, so she agreed. What could be the harm? But she could have never imagined the horrifying consequences this could possibly lead to. The moment the white powder was applied to her face, she felt a deep burning sensation. Then she felt the flesh on her face fall off. The old woman was the face powder hag, a creature from Japanese urban legend who tricks young girls into putting on her makeup. When the young girls' faces begin to rot and fall off until there's nothing left but a skull, she will steal their flesh for herself. What she does with it is still a mystery. Have you ever seen someone with extremely long hair? Well, a man from Yamata Village in Japan saw a woman with very long hair, nearly down to her knees, but things were much stranger than they seemed. He was walking down a narrow street when this woman approached him, and as he walked closer, he realized that she'd been smiling the whole time. But this wasn't a normal, friendly smile. There was something strange about it that made him feel creeped out. But he smiled back anyways because he found her beautiful. This would be his last mistake. In that moment, her hair rose up and stuck to him. Strands of hair hooked onto his clothes. He ran as fast as he could, terrified. He got home quickly, locked the door, but couldn't fall asleep all night. The next morning, he felt a bit better, so he opened the door to try to go to work, but he saw that on the other side, his door was covered in scratches. He had run into Hariona, the long-haired woman from Japanese urban legend whose hair can turn into hooks. She's also known as the Smiling Woman, as she usually smiles at people from the shadows and also specifically targets men who smile back at her. Comment below what you would do if you ran into her, and follow to see more. Can you solve this mystery? This is the story of two friends who got into an accident while they were camping, but someone is hiding something and not everything is as simple as it might seem. All the clues to what really happened are hidden in what I'm about to say. So these two friends, a young man and woman, went camping together in the woods. The man said that he knew his way around because he went camping there all the time, so he ended up leading the way. They arrived at a long rope bridge that they both had to cross to get to the other side. The woman went first, but something was wrong. One of the boards on the rope